Wife returns from an 8-week business trip and secretly gets STD test the same day. She hid it as a shopping trip. Coincidence or a sign my marriage is over? Throwaway for reasons. My 28M wife, 26F, is a great person, and we have always gotten along. We have been married for almost 2 years and have been together for 4.5 years. We are in a monogamous relationship and have both had several partners prior to our relationship. Every year, my wife goes on a long business trip, typically about 2 months. During this time, communication over the phone and email can be difficult, contingent upon the technological issues where she works. She really enjoys her work during these business trips and usually comes home feeling fulfilled and excited about life. Normally, when she comes home, she takes a day or two to rest and overcome the jet lag, 28-hour travel time and 21-hour time difference. In the following days, we tend to spend lots of time together, sex, dates, cuddling, catching up, etc., because she's been gone for so long. This year, she came home as her same excited self after having had a great trip. In fact, she seemed so excited that she wanted to work on some projects but needed to go get materials from the store. About 3 hours after picking her up from the airport, she said she wanted to go shopping for her craft project and that she would likely spend several hours out shopping. She really emphasized how much time she would need, many hours. I thought this was a little weird, considering she had just come back from a 28-hour flight, hadn't slept, and usually isn't the type to spend more than an hour or two shopping. But whatever, it's fine. About 5 hours later, she came home with a single bag of craft materials. I registered this as strange but didn't really think much of it. I chalked it up to her taking a lot of time to carefully select her materials instead of bulk buying. Over the next few days, she didn't really go through the usual jet lag phase and stayed distant. I thought that was weird but ended up giving her space and just focused on school. About 2 weeks post-return, we still hadn't had sex despite my advances and lightly prodding the issue. Getting in, I'm just feeling off and don't feel like it. I found that strange since she is usually a 3 to 4 times a week kind of person, and we had been exploring some new kinks prior to her trip, which we had talked about rekindling once she returned. The first few times she didn't reciprocate my advances, I didn't think anything of it. We've always had a very open no policy and are attentive to each other's needs, whether it's time, tiredness, not feeling it, or needing it now. However, after 2 weeks, the combination of her distance and lack of intimacy felt really off. Over the weekend, she met up with her girlfriends for a day out. During that time, I snooped on her computer. If that bothers you, stop reading now. We have always been extremely open with our phones and social media. We both know each other's phone and computer passwords, and she knows my Facebook login, etc. While she was out with her friend, I looked on her computer. She had left her work and personal email, Reddit, and Facebook open/logged in. So I looked. Nothing out of the ordinary. I checked the recycle bin and found that she had taken some self-nudes with her phone, sent them to her email, downloaded them, and then deleted them, hence their presence in the recycle bin. I thought that was odd. Normally, we would send nudes to each other, not save them on our computers. Maybe she really liked them, she did look hot, and decided to keep them. This got my gears turning because she had been really disinterested in sex since returning but was taking nude selfies and lingerie. I checked the metadata on the pictures and confirmed they were taken recently and downloaded from Gmail. I then looked at her Gmail. Nothing terribly odd there, but anything before 3 days after her return home had been deleted from her inbox and then deleted from the trash folder, not archived. For example, if she came home on the 1st, everything before the 4th was deleted. However, in her trash bin, there was a confirmation of an appointment at a health clinic in an adjacent city. The email contained a link with the user ID to log into the patient portal if she needed to change her appointment. I logged in with the ID and her common passwords, which I already knew from us sharing. The portal was mostly empty but showed that she had scheduled and attended an appointment the same afternoon she got home from her trip. The portal allows you to request records from visits, so I did. The records were delivered to the portal about 30 minutes later. She had gone in for STD testing 5 hours after returning home from an 8-week business trip. To summarize, she got tested for STDs while saying she was going shopping the day she returned from an 8-week business trip. She concealed the fact that she was tested, didn't leave her phone number or address at the clinic, carefully deleted emails related to the clinic, and made up a cover excuse to go out. She has been super distant with me, though very engaging toward friends and coworkers, and has avoided sex. She says she's not interested in sex but has been dressing up to take nudes. On a similar business trip in the past, she did almost the exact same thing. Got tested as soon as she got home, after a 7-week trip, refrained from sex for about a week, and was distant. I found out similarly through our shared computer, seeing an email from the health clinic about results in the portal. Previously, when I asked her about it, She said she had a UTI and went in for a full STD panel. Totally plausible. I let it go. She also said that STD tests are normal for women during checkups, though most clinics say you have to request them or have reasonable suspicion. I have no real reason to suspect cheating, but goddamn, this feels weird. All the elements of possibility are there, I suppose. Possible explanations. She had another health problem that seemed to resolve itself, and maybe she wanted more follow-up but didn't want to burden me with the details, although the other health issue isn't urogenital related. She didn't receive any tests that would diagnose the concomitant issue. Health information can be sensitive, and she might have deleted the email to avoid anyone seeing it over her shoulder. However, this doesn't explain why her inbox was cleaned and the trash emptied. Maybe she feels a little detached from me after being away for so long and needs more time to warm back up. She could have had another UTI and gotten an STD panel at the practitioner's request. However, no antibiotics or treatments were administered during the visit, nor were any documented. Maybe she thought I was cheating and got tested. Although, testing 8 weeks later seems a bit outside the typical incubation period. The secrecy of the whole thing really bothers me. Any ideas on how to approach this topic with my wife or other possible explanations? Edit. She admitted to cheating on her trip, says only once, but evidence suggests at least twice. Edit 2. 3 confirmed in one trip. Digging in now. Edit 3. Typical it was a one-time thing and it was your fault responses. Confirmed at least 3 dudes during her last trip, likely a systemic serial cheater since we've been together. She refuses to admit anything beyond this business trip, even though she exhibited the same behavior 2 years ago. She refuses to be honest and claims she wasn't going to meet anyone on her current solo camping trip. I know otherwise. I keep catching her in lies. Filing papers now. Edit 4. It's at least 4 now. 1 on her first trip 2 years ago, which is why she took the STD test then. A mutual friend knew about it and kept it secret. This happened days or a week after we got engaged. Update 1 month 3 weeks later. Hey, folks! I'm at D-Day 55, and I wanted to share a little bit more of my story and just talk it out. It gets a bit lonely at night, and that's when my gears start cranking without the noise of the day to keep up distractions. So writing it out and clearing the air is perhaps cathartic. My wife and I have been married for 1.5 years, together for 4.5. We are both graduate students. I'm working towards my MD/PhD in genetics, and she is working towards her PhD in microbiology. No kids, few assets, not much debt. Here's the backstory if you'd like more information. My partner secretly got tested for STDs the day she returned from a long business trip. I found out, confronted her, and she admitted to sleeping with 3 people on the trip and 1 person 2 years ago. Luckily, we study at different schools. I'm on the West Coast where she was residing with me and working remotely, and she studies at my undergraduate institution in another state. When I found out and confronted her, she was on her way back to her school for lab work and committee meetings. So our communications were largely conducted via text messaging and email. She was too much of a coward to speak to me on the phone. I suppose the discovery of infidelity in a relationship is shocking and painful and begins to pave an arduous road toward either reconciliation or the parsing of community property. In my case, it's been the latter. It's not the sex that bothers me. I can understand those inclinations. I'm a biologist. Attraction, emotional investment, feeling wanted, the taboo of risk, adrenaline, those things make sense to me. What I could not understand is how my wife, someone I adore and respect immensely, could lie to her affair partners about who and what I am. It's like her inner monologue flowed freely to them, her true thoughts about me expressed vocally. That made me physically sick. I'm not a bad guy. I've always been there for my wife. We clicked on every level, from toilet paper orientation to politics, humor, hobbies, and sex. It just doesn't make sense. During the postmortem, I've often come to the realization that as a partner on a two-way street, I could have always done more or worked toward a stronger marriage. That's the sentimental part of my brain saying, look at all these missed opportunities for communication and growth. If you had really loved your wife, you would have figured it out and met her needs. That's a deadly game of roulette to play. The retrospective what-if on infinite regression plays discordantly upon the soul. If the discovery of infidelity wasn't shocking enough, I also asked my wife to reconcile. She refused. I gave her a list of demands with 7 items. The header read, the ground rules. If you choose not to comply, or if I suspect that you have failed to comply with these rules, I will divorce you. Here is the abridged version of what I asked for. You will allow me unfettered access to your phones, accounts, devices, and computers at any time without hesitation. You will forfeit and show me all communications and materials related to all extramarital relations you've engaged in, no matter how minor or insignificant you feel they were. You will allow me to professionally recover data from your phone and other devices. If there is something you haven't told me yet, or if you haven't given me the full story, this would be a good time to do so. I extend you amnesty for other grievances, notwithstanding lying. You will contact all parties you've engaged with in any way and explain that you were in a monogamous relationship, your husband knows, and that you messed up. You will apologize for misleading anyone about your relationship status, and you will contact their partners to explain what happened. You will get tested for STDs and STIs every month for the next 6 months, including blood panels. This information will be made available to me at my request. You will seek and engage in cognitive behavioral therapy until you have been treated for your dysmorphia and eating disorder and have healthily managed your past SA. You and I will receive marriage counseling indefinitely or until we both feel that our problems have been resolved. We will both engage in communication coursework or reading. Rules for opening the relationship. Maybe too controlling. Everything I asked for, I also offered to reciprocate where applicable. The first bloodletting was the discovery of the infidelity, and the mortal strike was her denying me safety in the relationship by dismissing my needs. Once it was clear that she wasn't trying to reconcile, I was ready to burn it to the ground. I threatened to contact her affair partners, contact their significant others, file professional misconduct complaints, contact a research board about misconduct, and inform her direct bosses, people whose reputations could be jeopardized by her actions. She freaked out and suddenly became extremely receptive to what I was asking for, begging me not to ruin her career, begging me not to tell anyone. I felt bad, apologized, and told her I wouldn't do that. She had already gone to her bosses and conveyed some truth-trickled story to them. I obviously added a lot more pain to the situation by playing that card. This was almost a month ago. She filed for divorce the next day, threatened to file an order of protection to prevent me from contacting people in her life, and then told me she couldn't forgive me for threatening to expose her like that. That's when I woke up. I had been drowning, undergoing hemorrhagic shock, and hypothermia was creeping in. I had been desperately trying to get my wife, who was standing on the shoreline, to throw me a life preserver. My actions caused her to get her feet wet, and she couldn't handle it. That's when I started to understand who she was, weak and cowardly. Not exactly life partner material. A few weeks later, I had a realization. It's like she died. That's what the pain, emptiness, and anger feel like. I found out later that she was still in contact with one of her partners. Another punch in the gut. Anyway, that's where I'm at. I applaud you if you made it this far. Our divorce is underway and will hopefully be resolved cleanly. For the time being, things here are quiet, empty, and lonely. My schoolwork has suffered, and I'm thinking about taking some time off to process everything. Thanks for listening. Op comments 1 month 2 weeks later. Gave her a list of demands. Harsh. I asked for monitoring, transparency, an end to the relationships, mandatory counseling, and even offered the possibility of opening the relationship in a healthy way, something we had hinted at before. Relationship in a healthy way, something we had hinted at before. Initially, she said she would work on everything. Then she did nothing for over a month. I pressed her to be proactive, nothing again. I got fed up and threatened to expose her to her multiple affair partners. She didn't like that and filed for divorce instead. Edit. I should mention that I dropped the monitoring. No one wants to babysit their significant other and constantly parse truths. I stupidly asked to reconcile again. She needed time and wanted to date other people. Best thing that ever happened to me. Don't need that kind of crap in my life.